Hello, my name is Jo Thomas. Thank you very much for having me here. And I would like to thank everyone that has been involved in organising this. Thank you. So I would like to present four works for you. The first is Angel, which was written in 2002. Was commissioned by GRM and Huddersfield Contemporary Music Festival and Sonic Art Network. It was written in Paris and it was written in City University as Electroacoustic Music Studios. Angel explores presence and it moves through different states of being, and it explores kind of like this gentleness and fragility. And I suppose it would explore sort of humanity and sort of aspects of our condition as humans. So it was quite a long work. So it's 18 minutes, 30 seconds. And in its journey of sort of going through these different states, there are little fragments of songs kind of written into the work. They're like micro melodies, and they come out and they disappear, and they come out and disappear. And then at the end, they are all bound together. So in one respect, it's quite a traditional piece of writing, but in another, it's quite fresh and works with frequencies and tones and fissures and noise and ratios. And I wanted to be quite free, and I was working with sculpture and kind of like trying really hard to move the sound into massive, humongous sort of wings. It was very good fun to actually write as well. So yeah, that's Angel. For Cascade Infinity is a work for GUZHENG and electroacoustic sound, and that was commissioned last year for Bangor New Music Festival. It was written with the performer Luxi Tan in mind, and Luxi was kind of like, this was her first piece for electroacoustic sound, and it was my first exploration into Chinese notation. Cascade Infinity is a really beautiful work for me because I could just kind of like really explore this floating landscape of sound. More so, I think, than a lot of my works. It was free, you know, kind of the way that the guzheng is plucked, and then these objects could float around and spring from nowhere and then disappear, spring from nowhere and disappear. That's kind of the essence. The thing that binds it together is kind of nature, so it's seasonal. And when we wrote it was winter. So there's a movement in it called Winter Flower. It's actually, I was doing a lot of walking in Hampstead Heath then, and I really wanted to kind of put that walking into the work. Yeah, it's really, I feel it's really beautiful, short, flighting work almost. Polyplastic was written for a chapel in South Wales in a hospital, so that it was commissioned as a new piece for a new hospital, the New Grange Hospital. Polyplastic is part of a larger work called Sketch of Nature, and this work was written sort of talking to gardeners about their experiences of the garden. And I had this one interview where a gardener was kind of talking about the sound of the rain falling on the plastic roof and what it sounded like and what it felt like. And I just thought that was amazing to listen to and to work with. And it grew into something else. So polyplastics are something that evolve and kind of flow and ebb, and it evolved, this work evolved. And I was working with the violinist Simi Singh, and I wrote her some music. She played it, she sent it back to me, and then I edited it, and then kind of like, so it wasn't electroacoustic and instrumental, it was a hybrid score, I guess, a hybrid sort of creation, and that I found really engaging to work with. So I was working with her frequencies, and I was taking literally slicing frequencies off her tone and then putting those onto the electroacoustic sound frequencies and making all these nodules, and then had this relentless bass going through the work. So yeah, I love that piece. It's a beautiful piece for me. We Swim Where the Birds Are is a piece I wrote at the end of last year, and I wrote it. I was asked to write it. I was asked to send in a work for the 30th anniversary of the Electroacoustic Music Studios in Bangor, but I wanted to write about my experiences in London, which were very good experiences swimming. And I wanted to write about the London Fields, Lido, and how basically I would go there to cool down this incredibly hot summer that we had last year. And the swimming pool was a way of cooling my body down, swimming, and this kind of like whole community of people that were there and are there and still there. So I was exploring the risks of swimming as well, kind of like going underwater and breathing and coming back up, and going underwater and breathing and coming back up. And swimming is associated with pleasure, but it's also associated with risk. And that was important for me to look at, but I didn't want to give that over to the audience that were listening. I wanted to explore it myself. So it's quite a personal work. When I compose, I draw a lot of my work out. So they are literally like floating objects. I pencil sketch and I use ink. I'll use clay, I'll use shells, I'll use bells, I'll use anything that will kind of look like it could be formed into something. I'll tip nail polish all over my scores so I can feel like texture. So I really like feeling stuff with my fingers. And I like working with really thick pencils, so like Tubi or charcoal. Charcoal's really good. Drawing is the first point where I would start work. And then very often I don't finish my drawings. I just move on to the music, or move on to the sound world, or move on to another art form to explore, and then to write music. So music for me is kind of like the sound. Most of the time it's the last process. And then before we get to that, there are all these different aspects of creativity that I'd like to work through. At the moment, I'm looking at rhythm and beats and pulse, and kind of like exploring movement and body movement and dance through scoring and sound. And I want to kind of work more with 3D sound. So it's really interesting to have this presentation with you because of what I'd like to do in the future. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you very much for having me, and I hope you enjoy my music. Thank you. Bye-bye.